Let's talk about some of the problems that are being experienced across the country. How about a process server being led off of property with a gun to her head? How about a 60-year-old process server, female, punched in the face twice, beaten as she crawls back to her car, and the perpetrator, for the lack of a better word, gets sentenced to simple assault because the DA says he didn't break any bones. How about the process server that, you know how you leave those little mail cards that say the sheriff does it, you've been, visited by the sheriff, but then people and process servers have picked that up, you've been visited by, I have court papers for you, give me a call, let's arrange to get them to you. The guy called him, made the arrangement, he goes out there, gets out of his car, walks around the garage, 3 guys jump him. Here's the issue. We are protecting the constitutional right of individuals for due process. Are everybody with me, right? Indirectly, we work for the court system. Am I right? Not directly. We're not officers. We don't work for the court. Indirectly, we're doing their work. If we didn't do it, the sheriffs would be overloaded and there would be a backlog in the court system. I believe that we as process servers, not just in this state of Colorado, but across the nation, should have the same protections as law enforcement, the same protections as EMTs, so that if you act a fool and assault, not me, because that's not going to happen, but if you assault a process server, you should be charged automatically with a felony. Now, do I believe that that is going to eliminate assault or aggressive people assaulting processor? Absolutely not. But what I'll tell you is when you give grave consequences to an act of stupidity and then the word gets out, it'll slow it down, right? I believe that we all have the right when we leave our home we leave in one piece, in a certain health state. We deserve the right to come back home in that exact same state. The DAs in this state believe, well, here's what I was told. They have prosecutorial discretion, and they probably are upset with the process servers that are picking the locks and jumping the fences and looking into people's backyards, and they take it out on us honest people. So now, why am I saying all this to you? This association in January of 2015 will request through the legislature that they make assault on a felony of a process server a felony, period. We're going to take it out of the DA's hands because the issue is, we all understand temperature, how we put a pot of water on and it kind of simmers and then it boils. It's getting to the point where it's starting to boil and they're going to choose the wrong process server, and that person we're trying to serve is going to get hurt, and then there's going to be all over the news how a process server beat up or shot or seriously injured someone he was trying to serve. It's going to be our fault. See, the problem is the news sensationalizes the fact that a process server was pulled in a car here in Denver, Colorado, and drugged 2 city blocks. They put it on the news. It shows up in the blurb of the newspaper. Did you ever hear what happened? That's the travesty. So that means that, and then you got this, we're all adults here. Well, then you got these AH called, what's his name? McElroy? What's that guy, the process server on TV? The staged event that every time I talk to someone, we're going to get into an altercation. The public is being taught that they don't have to accept servers. They're being taught that they can be aggressive with us, and it just needs to stop. But guess what? What if there was no association in the state of Colorado? it would just continue to happen. How many of you remember the story of the process server that got beat with a baseball bat in Loveland? My wife wouldn't want that to be me. I wouldn't want that to be you. Now, that guy did go to jail for murder, but if it's got to come to that, that's too far. That's too far. Let's talk about licensing. How many know from Colorado about the PI licensing here? Raise your hand if you know. Raise your hand if you don't know. So let's switch it around. Do you realize that if it had not been for this association, we probably still wouldn't know, and they would probably pass this mandatory licensing, and then you would have to be licensed as a private investigator to serve papers? And you know what their thing is? Well, you guys do investigation. Well, what investigation do we do is what I asked. Well, you talk to the neighbors. That's investigation. I says, no, that's not. That's an inquiry as to who lives next door. Well, you do skip traces. No, that's an inquiry to try and find who I need to serve my papers. Well, you do surveillance. Yeah, we do surveillance, but it's different. We don't do surveillance to videotape them, to write a report to say that no, their neck's not broke. They were doing cartwheels in the front yard. We do our surveillance to do what? Affect service. Had this association not been, how would you like to be licensed as a PI to do what you're in business to do? And it's not, I'm not just, look, what I'm saying to you is this. If you got something out of this education conference, it's because of the association. Don't look at me, I'm just the guy that they put up here to talk to you. But it's because of this association. It's because of the leadership. It's because that we sit down and say, how we want to become an education center, so what do we need to do to become that education center? What do we have to do to get your voice to count and your voice to count? Do we always agree? Hell no, we don't agree. But when we vote and it comes out a majority, even if it's by one, then everybody in this association falls in line as if they were their idea. How many members do I have here? Isn't that right? That's exactly right. See, it's about a voice. See, James asked me, are you going to sing? I don't think you want to sing, but if we all sang together, I could blend in there, and then our collective voice can move mountains. Listen, here's what I'm asking you. Two things. In order to go through to the legislature, which we are going to go to the legislature, we need numbers. Let me say something to you. I'm going to talk about our membership dues, our membership fees. There's $75 for a voting member. If you have a business partner, it's an additional, well, it's $100, and you can have both voting rights. $45 for an associate membership. Those are pretty low if you look around the country. You look at the other associations here in this state, and I plan, as long as I'm involved, I don't have to be president, as long as I'm involved, they should stay low. But how can we keep them, make them stay low? It's by hosting events like this and giving you something to help build our coffers to build for defense fund when these people want to act up. Does that make sense? So what I'm saying to you is this. Everyone here has a center of influence. You're your center of influence. You're a leader. The one thing that we know about leaders, let me stop here. My friend Ruth got me a subscription to Success Magazine. And the first two, honestly, Ruth, I just put on the counter. I have so much stuff going on. I just put on the counter. And one day I was kind of bored, and I picked up one, and I said, wow, there's a CD in here. So when I drive, like I always do, I pop that CD in, and here's what I heard. Most successful people have a dirty little secret, and that dirty little secret is, ultimately, they're lazy. But what they've done is that they've taught themselves how to break the chains of laziness and go do something. Like me, if I always say, oh, I'll put that off, my wife will tell you in a heartbeat, why are you always working? Because if I say I'll put it off, I just get up right then and go do it because it needs to be done. But look at all the leaders that are still here today. You're leaders. You don't have to be here. There's plenty of things you could be doing on a Saturday, am I right? But you're here for a reason. You either have, and I'm going to tell you, you may not recognize the talents or the talent that you have, but we can help you make it flourish. You may not realize that at 45 minutes here or an hour here can take a burden of stacking a whole bunch of time onto somebody else's back to try and do things for a collective group of people. We protect this industry whether you are a member or whether you're a non-member. You can come to our training. The people from out of state, you're going to be on our email list. You can come to our training on the internet every month if you want to. If you don't like the topic, don't come. But every last one of you are a center of influence over at least 2 or 3 other people that are probably in this industry. Invite them down. Tell them to come take a look at it. That's all you got to do. Then let the association speak for itself. Does that make sense? Listen, when we go, we're getting ready to make this push, and we're getting ready to have discussions. This is where the voice comes in, where we decide how is the best way to address the legislature. How would you like access to gated communities? Well, here's what I believe. We'll probably never get it. But what I believe if we ask for it, what we will settle for is give us access or assist us by escorting us or take the damn papers right now, period. Service by refusal on the first time. Don't go to the court and get a subservice request. That's what we're going to ask for. How many of you, I mean, it upsets me to no end. I'm talking to a gate guard at a gated community, and she won't, they don't even want us to call them anymore. But yet the pizza guy pulls up next to me, toots his horn, she opens the gate and let him in. You know, listen, we have to have a discussion about how we want to address registration, not licensing. I don't want to have no part of DORA because I don't want any part, the Department of Regulatory Agency, because I don't want them telling me you only can serve between the hours of 8 and 6, whatever. They tried that in California. And if you're going to do surveillance, you got to let the people know you're going to surveil. What kind of crap is that? What kind of crap is that? Okay? But so the idea is if we want these things, we have to have a discussion. Registration. I'd like that attached to the Colorado Supreme Court. But I'm kind of getting the vibes that the Colorado Supreme Court is going to say no. They don't want it. And if they say no and we put a bill in, it's possible they can say, yeah, we're not going to let you pull your bill, though. We're going to send it over the door. So we have to figure out if maybe we want to look at registering ourselves and getting our own ID cards, because I'm going to tell you, using my driver's license and my NAPS card, I've been getting into a lot of these gated apartments and a lot of gated condos, gated townhouse facilities by the property manager. So what would happen if we had a picture ID with a Pasaco logo on there that they can call and look at your number up on the website? If it helped you get 1 or 2, that's 1 or 2 you don't have to turn back in for non-service. The bottom line is this. The only way that events like this can continue, the only way that this association can grow is if we increase our numbers, and from that we'll find leaders. And it's not about whether or not you know how to do it, or just say you want to, and we will teach you what we do. It's very simple, very, very, very simple. I'm going to close with this. I'm just going to ask a simple question. What questions do you guys have of me from a standpoint of that you have about the association? Maybe some falsehood that you've been told, because there's rumors out there that I'm trying to license the whole state. No, I'm not trying to I'm trying to keep us from being licensed. Let me tell you another story. Do you guys know that there was a gentleman in November of last year that got 26 motions to quash in November all stemming from his activity in June. The process serving company fired him, but they're going to settle with these clients because these people were harmed. All 26 of the properties were vacant for a minimum of 3 months and some 6 years. But you know what? He's probably serving papers today. And if you hired anyone since November, they could be him. But the sad thing is, if I tell you his name, I could get sued. They could shut this association. Isn't that some bull crap? And if you know what? And if I told you his name and you fired him, he could start his own company tomorrow. Those judges don't care. Those attorneys don't care. But we better care, because at some point they're going to get tired of it and they're going to say, license them. They can't control themselves. We'll regulate them. Anybody in here want that? Thank you. You have a question?
I got something to say about that. You know, in Oklahoma, they was at $300 to get licensed. Now they've moved it up to $450. Plus, you got to post it in the paper for a month. You got to do all kinds of stuff. So, be happy in Colorado that you got what you have.
Well, thank you.
And you need to listen to what he's saying, because
come here, man.
We really go through it.
Tell him I didn't set you up.
No, you didn't set me up.
No, that's the
but
truth.
I'll checks in the mail.
That's the truth.
So here's the deal. The one thing I understand about leaders, because this is what you guys are, because you're here, you're still here. Even through all our shenanigans, you're still here. What are you going to do about it? Will I carry the weight? And this association carry the weight? Yeah, we will. Yeah, you absolutely will. But if it goes awry, don't blame me. You understand what I'm saying? So all I'm asking for is consider the opportunities that are in front of us, because there are opportunities in front of us, and if we don't step towards them and make the effort, we could possibly lose. Because if they come out with licensing for us, they're not going to repeal it. Any more questions or any more statements? I'd like to thank our sponsors, TriStar Software, ServeNow, Serve Manager. I believe their booths, I'm hoping, will be open for a little bit longer so that people can actually sit down and talk to them. If all you do is stop by and say, schedule me an appointment, let's talk, then just do it. TriStar can do their thing over the internet, go to webinar, kind of like we were doing here. The people are here to avail to help you grow your business. Take advantage of it. Adam, thank you very much. Kimberly, you did a great job. Jeremy, even Jolly back there. I mean, you guys are all still here, and I thank you so much. Be safe and consider Pasaco. It's your future. It's your future. Thank you.